What's up, summoners? King Blair here. Today we're going to be talking about why it's so hard to be creative in Epic 7 for building teams in PvP and PvE, but why it can sometimes be extremely rewarding. So if you like the video, make sure you like, subscribe, and join the Discord server, link down in the description. Without further ado, let's get right into the video. So how it will break out is first we're going to be talking about the background of this video, what the idea is, why am I even talking about this, right? What's the point? The second thing is why it's actually hard to be creative. Why it's something, the two reasons that is, and then lastly why it can sometimes be really good and beneficial to every once in a while experiment a little bit, right? And knowing how to experiment properly is also a very important part to playing the game. So first, motivation. As you guys know, Epic 7 is a game and that we all love and enjoy, and of course it should never feel like a chore. But for a game, what you're trying to do is to have fun, and people have fun in different ways. Me personally, I have fun by stomping people on RTA and arena and PvP modes. Other people have fun by collecting waifus, and other people have fun by building their heroes and trying them out in different scenarios, right? And this is the one that targets most of you, is going to be the last one that is going to be, that want to be creative, right? But it always feels like the arena teams you're going against, the RTA teams you're going against are always the same. And you may be wondering, why is that? Why do people go for these cookie cutter things? So that's one of the questions that this video will answer. And the second one is why, even for you, it's actually not a bad idea to do that sometimes as well. So now that we have that out of the way, and the different types of fun, again, have fun how you want. If you're having fun with the game and you're being creative, that's awesome. But if you're trying to push further and you feel like you're trying all these different cool stuff, we'll talk about why it's so hard to try really good stuff and be successful with it. So first, the two reasons why being creative is hard. So first reason is going to be whenever there's a meta, and all games that have PvP and PvE and have communities that share things, everyone kind of knows what the meta is, right? And the thing about being meta is that you know it works. It's safe. If I build an Arbiter Vildred, I know that Arbiter Vildred is going to be a good unit. I know he has two builds that are often used, which is a counter set and the speed build. And I know what that stat line is, right? That's safe. People like that safety. They know they can build a unit, invest in a unit, and get something out of it, where they get good PvP results or PvE results. They know that. For PvE, for example, we all know that Sigrid is like one of the best Wyvern units. And most people have a Sigrid for Wyvern. Of course, mine is not currently built. But again, they all have a stat line that they're like, okay, this is what I want. This is what people told me to do, and I can clear this content, right, for PvE. And that safety goes a long way, because we're going to get to the second part of why it's so hard to be creative in Epic 7, which is going to be the resource intensive aspect of it. If you're someone that it wants to be creative, like let's say you're trying to clear Wyvern and you really like Clarissa. If you build a Clarissa for Wyvern, that means that you're investing Molagora, right, which is not super easy to come by. You are using gear, potentially reforged materials, gold to enhance. You're using upgrade materials. You're using artifacts. You're using all these other stuff, investing in her, right? But then it could end up that after all your investment, she's 6-star, she's there, and you get to Wyvern and you can't clear it. So all that investment, you can't get it back. Those Molagoras, you can't get them back. Now, if Clarissa is your waifu and you really like her, then that's fine. You can still have fun with her. You can change up her build, or you can keep trying to force her, and that aspect can be fun for you. But for a lot of people, that is a very frustrating experience, where you get to a point where you want to try something out and it doesn't work, and now you wasted potentially like 15 Molagora, right? And that's the same thing for PvP, right? Let's say you wanted to build an offhand PvP unit, right? Let's say you wanted to build someone like a... Let me put one of my personal experiments. Let's say you wanted to do a Fire Cecilia, right? Because you think Fire Cecilia looks cool. You think her skin is dope. You think the skin is sick. You think she looks amazing, right? And you want to try hard for PvP. You come in and you're fighting all these meta teams, and you realize that at the end of the day, Cecilia's not really cutting it. You're losing more fights than you are in PvP, because Cecilia just cannot do enough when compared to another meta knights, like something like even like Ross, right? So because of that, because you invested in Cecilia, like for example for me, I've invested all these Malgora in Cecilia. I invested all these awakening materials, all this time into her, only for her not to function. And that is very frustrating, because I just want to have fun and win, and that's how I have fun, right? And that resource intensity where you're wasting, essentially not wasting, but if you're not using a unit and they have Malagora, you wasted it, right? This unit is wasted. I'm not using her. All those Mulgoras could have been going to a unit that I know works, right? Versus if I had just built someone like a Ross, I know exactly how he functions. I know exactly what teams to pair up with him. I know exactly what style line I'm looking for. I can just build a Ross and win games, right? And have fun winning games, right? So that's why it's so hard to be creative in Epic 7. It's those two reasons. You have first the fact that the safety of knowing something works. I know that these units are good. I know Fallen Cecilia is going to be good for almost any team that I put her in. I know she has multiple builds. I don't have to worry about her not being good in a certain situation, right? And it's the same case for like a lot of different units. Same thing with Carl. I know Carl is going to perform, right? I know that. And the other aspect of it is going to be the actual resource intensity, that if you decide to be creative and it ends up not working out, you just wasted a ton of resources. Look at this more. All these stars, all this gear that I had built for him, right? All this time I spent on him. I can't even use some of these pieces on any other unit because they're so specific to him that I can't really put it on any other unit, right? And I wasted that time. Same thing with like Senya I actually do use, but let's say you try to use Senya and you ended up not liking her and she doesn't function for you. Well, this is a very specific set where a lot of units are not going to be able to use this really wonky set, right? So not only did you waste time crafting gear, resources, all this stuff on a unit that you're not particularly going to use, right? And that can be very frustrating. So that's why it's so hard to be creative. Those two reasons combined. And it can be frustrating. Now, the thing about it is, why can it sometimes be something good, right? So now that we know why it's not often done, why it's frustrating and all this stuff, and why people don't typically are creative, especially because not a lot of people have fun by winning. Not a lot of people have fun by just building a unit and having fun with it, right? I personally have both, which is why I don't think Senya was a waste. I had a ton of fun with Senya, and I still really enjoy her. So that's the aspect of how can it be good for you. So the first one is having fun. Testing and building Senya has been the most fun I've had with the game in a very long time. I have not had so much fun building a unit that I love how they look, I love how they play, and even though I do lose a lot with Senya, I still had fun using her, right? So one way we're being creative, even through all these negatives, is if you have fun with it. Because if I have fun with it, me playing with Senya got me more motivated to play different teams and play more RTA. By playing more RTA, I realized other units were really good, and I really wanted to build those other units as well, right? So it kind of opened the path for me to be more invested in the game and have more fun with the game. So it's one of the reasons why creativity can also be very, very important and really, really good, and you want to try it every once in a while, right? Like, not all my 5 stars are built particularly just for winning, right? I tried Airwolf for fun because I thought she looked cool, right? And she's a 3-star, so it was a lot less intensive. I'm currently building potentially a Rose that I don't know if it's going to work for my team. I really don't. But I want to try it for fun, right? Because I want to have fun with the game. And that's important. And the other part of being creative is that sometimes you might find a gem that you didn't know was there and that other people don't know it's there, right? That's the other part, that if it wasn't for people trying to be creative, if it wasn't for people trying to push the metas, like for PvE, for PvP, for all this other stuff, we would not know that General Purgus was such a good unit, right? If it wasn't for people really liking General Purgus and wanting to use him for PvP, we wouldn't know how good he was. Because everyone was just using him for Wyvern. They had wrote him off. They were like, G-Perk, Wyvern unit, right? They wrote him off, but some people were like, you know what? I think he'd be good in like a Bruiser team. And they put him there, and we found out, and they got to abuse him. We knew someone in Discord that got to abuse G-Perk for a very long time until people eventually caught up. The same thing for me personally happened with Ravi. I built Ravi back when she wasn't buffed, right? She didn't have a stun chance. She didn't have the effectiveness buff. I was getting a ton of wins with Ravi. I was getting Freelo with Ravi at the time. You guys can watch it in the past. I was getting Freelo with Ravi. And then they buffed her, and then I already had one of the best Ravis at the beginning because no one else had built her, right? So I was ahead of the curve, right? And I got to have more fun, and then you guys came to watch the video, like the full guide on Ravi, because you guys knew I used Ravi. So that kind of excitement of trying different units and being creative, it's really what this game is about. So that is going to be it. Why being creative in Epic 7 is so hard. So again, there's good and bad to it. You overall still want to be more on the conservative side, especially when it comes to PvE. For PvE, I would say that's the one place you don't want to experiment with, because it's something that you just want to get out of the way unless it's something you really enjoy. And that's why for me, almost all my PvE units are not optimized, right? They're just there to be able, they're as good as I need them to be to clear. And I knew they were good going into it, right? Like example, Luluka I knew was good for Fire Expedition. So build the ones that you know are good before you build the units that are like more skeptical. That's what I suggest. And if you're testing a unit, this is something that I'm gonna tell you. If you are testing a unit, don't fully invest in them, right? So for example, for Ilnov, I committed too much. For the testing I did, I could have 6-starred her, right? Giving her some sample gear, doing free on equip, tried her out, and then decided to go all in, right? Test the unit before you actually commit the time to getting specific gear for them, before you commit to Monagoring them. Test the unit first, see how they feel. If they feel good and you're like, okay, I can see the potential, then go ahead and fully build them, right? Like for example, with Cecilia, I did a decent job because, except the Monagora, because if I hadn't Monagored her, and I had just tested her on like another gear on Ross, it's not wasted, right? Yeah, I lose a couple of Awakening and Catalyst, but that's not like the end of the world. I got to try out a unit, I got to see if I really liked it, and yeah, that would have been good. That's what you kind of want to do, right, with your units, how you're testing, right? Before you actually fully commit to something, make sure you try it out first and see how you like it, and then fully commit to actually like Monagoring it, to investing in it, to getting invested in it, and all that good stuff. But that's all I got for you guys today. Hope y'all enjoyed, and I will see you next time. Peace.